All right, so let's take a look at question 2 from 6.5 section on assessing normality. Just a couple of things. A big part of statistics is data analysis and being able to view the data and organize it and things like that. So this isn't a particularly challenging problem, but it does kind of point to some things that a statistician would do. So sample data for the arrival delay times in minutes of airline flights is given below. Determine whether they appear to be from a population with a normal distribution. Assume that this requirement is loose in the sense that the population need not be exactly normal, but it must be roughly bell-shaped. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to click and we're going to look at the data. Now, when you look at this data, especially with the negative numbers, you really can't gain much from the raw data. It's hard to just look at it and get any idea of what type of a distribution it is. So that's why we would, export this data into StatCrunch. And what we'll do is we're going to create a histogram, right? So I'd like to change the variable name. I'm going to show you some things that a statistician would do, right? So I'm going to change the variable name to arrival times. And then the very first thing a statistician does when they look at a data set is they sort it, right? You can glean a lot from a data set by sorting it. In fact, when you look at this data set, you can see these are pretty closely together, right? -42, -36. It looks like they're going down by one or two or a couple or whatever, right? Then you keep going. They're all pretty closely grouped. Then 11, 17, 19, 43, 45, 48. But then look at the end here. We have 103 and 109. So they are nowhere near the other data values. So we can, informally state that these are outliers. Anyway, what we want to do is we want to create a histogram. So we're going to go to graph and then go to histogram. And then we're going to pick arrival times. And then we're just going to compute. And so StatCrunch will actually create the histogram for you. And, you look at this histogram, it definitely looks like it's skewed to the right. And it definitely looks like there's a couple outliers out above 100. So when you go back to the question wants to know, is the requirement of a normal distribution satisfied? And it definitely is not. It is not bell-shaped. There's more than one outlier. I mean, we didn't formally, go through the process of establishing whether there's an outlier or not. I mean, the way you would do that is by looking at the interquartile range and seeing if values are 1.5 times less than or 1.5 times more than the interquartile range. But in order to get this problem, we're just going to say no because it is not bell-shaped. And that concludes this lesson.